It is times like these that I am so very thankful for this channel and that I can share reviews of series that I really feel are underrated and need some hype and love, because today is one of those series. Hello friends, happy Friday. So very excited that you're here. We are continuing the 25 days of shoujo manga, where everything I'm featuring this month is shoujo or josei manga. If you haven't checked out my calendar yet or haven't entered the giveaway, be sure to check out this video here so you can get all of the details, because it has been so much fun. Today I am doing a video review. I'm actually doing more of a first impression than a series review. Sorry, worded that wrong at the very beginning, but let's just blame the hype and the excitement, because I read this volume last night and it was so good. And that is My Lovesick Life as a 90s Otaku. This is published by Kodansha, and I don't really know anyone who has this high on their radar. I didn't even have it really high on mine, to be honest, but this is a josei manga, and ultimately, let me pause before I say more of what I was gonna say, because I realized I was about to start my review, but let me say what this manga is about and how it got to be on my radar. So this manga is about our main girl here. Her name is Megumi, and the thing is I'm trying to think about how to explain this. This story is centered around her, but she's sort of telling us, she is telling us a story, memories from, she's 42 now, she's a single mom, and she's basically recounting memories from when she was in high school of how life was like when she was an otaku. Because when she was 17, I think it was, she ended up transferring schools because at her old school, people found out she was an otaku, she was bullied, ridiculed, and she really didn't want to put up with that anymore, which rightfully so. No one should be bullied for being a otaku, but she decided to transfer schools, have a fresh slate where nobody knew that she was an otaku. She was doing everything in her power to keep it secret, to not let anybody find out. While she's here, she meets the class president because she has a really awkward introduction to her new class. But the class president comes up and he starts talking to her. He shows her around the school. Well, she finds out that he plays on the basketball team. He looks like this. She's like, he looks like Rukawa from Slam Dunk. And she's like, oh my goodness, Rukawa is her favorite character ever. Here's this guy, looks just like him. And she's like, maybe something could happen. Maybe there could be a romance, and some things happen. She asked him the big question though, do you like otaku? Because I guess in the 90s, like being an otaku was really like, no, like if you were one and publicly known as one, you were very isolated. People wanted nothing to do with you. They thought you were creepy. They thought you were weird. And so her liking this guy and really hoping that she could be her real self, she asks that ultimate question, do you like otaku? And he responds that he hates them. And she is so crushed and heartbroken. You wonder, what is she gonna do? Hence her story recounting her being an otaku in high school compared to her daughter, who is 16, and how things are so different, and just seeing her high school life, because it is so very funny. And now I will say what I was gonna say before is I read the preview on Kodansha's website before this manga released, and I was completely hooked by that first chapter, or in the first chapter. I love that our main girl, that she absolutely loves Slam Dunk. Her love for Rukawa, because he is amazing. I haven't read Slam Dunk. We do have all of the manga, me and my husband do, but I have seen some of the anime and I deeply, deeply loved it. Like, it's one of those anime that I watch it and it's a lot of fun, and I always feel better after I watch it. So I was super invested that she has this guy that she likes that looks like her favorite character, but that he hates otaku, and just like, what is she gonna do now? Because the first chapter we see her, it's so sad that she had to hide that love, and that was like probably the biggest thing. I mean, I will say I super love this volume, like very much, definitely continuing the series for sure. But one thing I could not relate to when it came to this volume is I don't know what that's like, to have to hide your inner otaku, that you can't let your colors fly, so to speak. I don't know anything about that. Like, I've never been to the bookstore and be like super paranoid and have to actually like double check that nobody I know is around me is going to see me pick this up, or that I can't rep my favorite characters in anime on, t-shirts or through my clothing, that I can't go out in public like that. I No, I don't know what that's like. It was just really wild to see. I mean, maybe some things are exaggerated in this story, but that was really real for many otaku at some point in time. And I'm just like, wow, if anything, I may have not related in that sense, but it gave me a very deep and new appreciation for the freedom that we have today. For example, One Piece. Even if somebody's not in anime, hasn't read manga, they know what One Piece is. Or, Jujutsu Kaisen or My Hero Academia. Like, these are big, and Demon Slayer, like, these are big titles that even people not in the otaku world have at least heard of, that they at least know, like, okay, this is an anime and I know what that is. We have so much more freedom today, and I was like, I never want to take this for granted. I never want to take this for granted, because there's a scene where she is talking to another otaku, and she's like, look, you have two different paths you can take here. Either you can choose the path of otaku where you're going to embrace it, this is your life, your livelihood, and you love it and you will never forsake it, or you can go down this other path and you can completely forsake, get rid of your otaku lifestyle, just so you could potentially, okay, it's not even for certain, potentially have your first love story with another guy that you like, but you have to abandon all of your otakuness, all of the series that have impacted you. You cannot acknowledge them anymore. And she's like, what are you going to do? And I want to say a quote that I love. I feel like it so deeply reflects, I hope, for many otaku when it comes to anime and manga, because it is such a true and overwhelmingly powerful line. And this person, I'm not going to say who it is because it'd be a spoiler, but they're asking Megumi, they're asking our main girl, why is it bad to be an otaku? One anime can change a person forever. One manga can stir a person's soul or even save their life. When something has such power, why is it bad to love it so fiercely? Yes, yes, yes. I'm like, this really reflects, I feel like, why I love being a otaku. I mean, anime, I've talked about more than once how Haikyuu genuinely changed my life. And there's been other series like Queen's Quality helped me have a life-changing breakthrough of a struggle that I've had for a very long, long time. These series have affected me so powerfully, and I cannot imagine never being able to talk about them publicly because you may be ridiculed. Again, that just points back to, I'm so grateful that I have this channel, that I don't have to worry about getting like a bunch of hate comments of people saying, you're so weird, you're such a nerd because you love talking about this. Like, no, that is not our reality for today. Very thankful, I guess, for all the people who, like, there's a character in here that she is unashamed that she's an otaku. She doesn't care what people think about her. She loves what she loves, and she's going to rep that, and she's going to show that. But Megumi is not there. She loves being a otaku. She loves anime. She loves manga. I mean, she is quick to list some of her favorite manga that she reads from the Shonen Jump magazine when somebody asks. But she doesn't want people to publicly know that, and seeing her struggle of can she be her real self to anyone is very compelling and very moving. There's a lot of humor in this series. I adore the expressions of Megumi because they're so outrageous and so on point more often than not. And I love the beginning because she's like, my daughter's repping all of her favorite anime. She has that part of her clothing style. She's like, that would have never been possible when I was a high schooler. But Megumi makes the funniest expressions. And when it came to the art, that was something I always anticipated, that I looked forward to. What kind of expression is Megumi gonna make next? She just makes so many of them. I really, really enjoy that. She's a very expressive heroine, and not just, I would say, externally through her facial expressions, but internally too. I really love how there was one scene where she's talking about, I don't remember exactly where it was, but she's like, Rukawa is always at the back of my mind, and she's struggling with 2D and 3D people because of the guy she likes that looks like Rukawa, and like, here he is right here, and she's like, I'm really struggling to know which is real and which is not, sort of thing. I mean, she knows, but like having that struggle, I totally get, because I definitely have my favorites living at the back of my mind. And oh my gosh, look at this page. I love this page of him. He was so cute. This was a really strong first chapter in my opinion. And I love the references to shoujo manga. She's like, am I a shoujo manga heroine? And there's one because there was something goes down and she's like, instead of a heroine being protected from bad boys, I'm a jump sidekick explaining the fight. I'm like, girl, you are so amazing. She talks about how her otaku circuits are flipping into like shonen shonen mode. She'll go to shoujo manga for reference and how it pushes her to make changes, to be bold, just like a shoujo manga heroine. And I really love that because definitely I could relate to that of, you know, having your favorite characters live in your head rent-free. They're always at the back of your mind. There's scenes that, or things that happen in your everyday life that remind you of scenes from your favorite manga, and it just lives there and makes you excited. But also with the shoujo manga of how there's times where she's like, oh my goodness, I feel like I'm in a shoujo manga right now. And I have those moments, not the same, but just where, you know, something could happen in a manga and you're like, oh my goodness, is this scene coming to life? Am I living it out in real life? I mean, hopefully other people do that too, not just me. But I really could relate to her a lot in that. And so I don't feel that me saying earlier where I couldn't relate to having to hide my otaku self, that it turned me away from this from this first volume, because I definitely didn't feel that way. There's enough humor that even if I couldn't relate and some of the references I may have not gotten, thank you, Kodansha, for those, what is it, like translation notes at the end? Is that what they call those? Yeah, for these, because I definitely referenced them a few times and that was so great. Really just enjoyed that part of the story and learning more. But I related to Megumi in other ways where she's so fun, and I really love her love for manga and anime, and I so hope that there's so many things I'm hoping for this series moving forward. I really hope ultimately that she can be her real self. She has a pen pal partner, or just a pen pal, and she feels the only time she can really embrace her true self, just be fully free, is when she's writing to that person. And I really want her to feel that way wherever she is, with whoever she is, that it doesn't matter, that she can find love. And it's so conflicting because I know at the start of this, you know, from like the first 2 pages, you know that our girl is a 42-year-old single mom. You know this, but since majority of the story, almost all of it, takes place when she's in high school, I'm like, I really want her to have a romance with him. Like, I really want to see just her love story unfold. What happens, like, if it does and she's not together with them anymore, I'm gonna be so absolutely crushed. I mean, we do see her ex-husband, we do see like his back, and I was like being very hyper analytical and over analyzing, I guess. I'm like, that doesn't look like him. Like, this doesn't look like Rukawa. I'm like, it can't be him. So I'm hoping that she somehow at her current age is going to meet him again and face him, and like that their love story can actually bloom. I don't know if that's just me wanting too much or what, but I really am hoping for that very, very much. Another thing, I was already wanting to get the next volume because even though I do have a lot of happy manga, I feel, and I laugh a lot when I read, I laugh so much when reading this. Like, this volume was really a joy and delight to read. I had such a blast. In fact, I was laughing so much, I was afraid that I was either waking up my husband or waking up my kids because I was just having that great of a time. It was very, very wonderful. It would just reminded me how amazing manga is. And I don't know if that was like purposeful in capturing this whole message that being a otaku, being your real self, is a great thing, because it just shows how amazing anime and manga is. And this reading experience, I feel like, captured that truth. I don't know if that was purposeful or not, but that was definitely something that I personally took away. But when it came to the end, there's a cliffhanger. And with that cliffhanger, I was like, I must have volume 2. Like, there was no doubts. I mean, there was no doubts before, but there was like zero doubts that I would pick up the next volume. Based off some things that happened with a certain character, I felt like when we got to the cliffhanger that maybe it sort of answers some questions of why that the reader, at least that I know that I was asking, and nobody else is going to know but us readers because we're the only ones seeing it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I really don't know for this character what's going to happen next. Like, how is this going to affect the main story? So will I be getting volume 2? Yes. Do I recommend this volume? Yes, it is so much fun, and I think regardless of a person's age, whether they can relate to Megumi of hiding your inner otaku to just the current now where you don't need to do that, I think Megumi is a fun heroine to follow her story, to see how things have changed, to just remind us current otaku how wonderful of an age that we live in, to just talk about manga and anime in everyday conversation. It was such an amazing read, highly recommend. I really hope a lot of people will pick this up. Right now, I think the series is still ongoing. I know volumes 2, 3, maybe 4 are up for pre-order on Amazon because I did look to see. I think the series is ongoing, but I'm gonna keep reading this because it was just so much fun. It was a blast and can't recommend it enough. But I would love to hear from you, friends. When it comes to everyday conversations, do you talk about your interest in anime and manga? Or do you keep it hidden as well? And if you keep it hidden, I'm sending you so many hugs right now because that just seems really, really hard. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and thank you so much for watching. Bye!